Imagine waking up to find that every drop of sweat you've ever shed, every late night, and every dollar you've saved has been rendered worthless by a single ink stroke in a room you weren't invited to. On October 4th, 1929, Edgar Brown lived that nightmare. He was a theater owner from a small town, a man who believed in the American dream, not a gambler looking for a quick fix. He walked into National City Bank with $100,000 and a gut feeling that the world was about to break. He wanted out. But he didn't realize he was dealing with master manipulators. The brokers, smelling the scent of a collapsing market, surrounded him like sharks. They used every psychological trick in the book to keep him in the game, whispering that the fundamentals were sound. They needed his $100,000 to stay in the system while they prepared their own exits. Brown stayed, and 20 days later, on Black Tuesday, his life's work became nothing more than gray ash on a cold New York pavement. While men like Brown were being led to the slaughter, the architects of high finance were building fortresses of greed. Albert Wiggin, the head of Chase National Bank, stood before the cameras as a savior, part of a heroic group of bankers supposedly propping up the market. Therefore, the public felt a flicker of hope. But behind the heavy mahogany doors, Wiggin was committing the ultimate betrayal. He wasn't saving the market, he was short-selling his own bank. He bet millions that the very institution he led would burn to the ground. While his own depositors were losing their homes, Wiggin pocketed a cold $4 million from the wreckage. This wasn't a tragedy of nature, it was a calculated heist from the inside out. The poison spread far beyond Wall Street, reaching the quiet towns that the history books now ignore. When the Morgan of the South collapsed, it didn't just close doors, it ended lives. 5,000 country banks vanished, taking with them the heritage of entire generations. There was no safety net, and the Federal Reserve, the institution meant to be the lender of last resort, chose to watch in silence. They saw the 400,000 families in the Bronx lose everything and decided that doctrine was more important than human survival. Therefore, the lesson of 1929 isn't about numbers or charts. It's about the brutal reality that in a crisis, the system will always prioritize its own heartbeat over yours. This crash was just the opening act, the moment the trap was set. Join the archive for the next episode, where we deconstruct the brutal mechanics of 1931, when the system didn't just fail, it chose who would survive and who would be erased. The documented truth is colder than you can imagine.